What up, YouTube? I saw another Audit video out the other day, today, and I wanted to watch it with you guys. Figured that'd be fun, so let's get into it. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe.
Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers trespassing, due process, and obstructing, and is brought to us by AL.com's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Before we dive into the interaction, I want to give a big thanks to the sponsor of this episode, Surfshark. It's a new year, and it's time for a new take on digital security. Surfshark is a premier VPN.
Absolutely wonderful.
Morning of June 25th, 2022, Mayor Jerry Willis of Wetumpka, Alabama, saw a vehicle he recognized as belonging to
Definitely get a VPN and use surfshark.deal/audit.
61-year-old Mary Alston parked near a tract of county-owned property near the courthouse. According to Mayor Willis, Ms. Alston had previously been warned not to feed stray cats on public property, and when he saw her vehicle, he contacted the Assistant Chief of Police for the Wetumpka Police Department. 3 patrol vehicles responded to the call, and the interactions that followed were captured on one of the Wetumpka officers' body cameras.
Returns to Mary Alston of Wetumpka on a 2005 Hyundai
Good morning.
G350, green in color. Status is current, 29s are negative.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. All right. What question? What are you doing?
Trying to trap some cats.
Okay. All right. We got a call that somebody was out here feeding the cats and stuff like that. So.
I'm trying to trap them.
Okay. You have your driver's license with you, man?
Yeah.
Where do you take them once you trap them?
Okay. Wait a minute. I got 3. Y'all have 3 cop cars because I'm feeding cats.
No, we always.
Wow.
That's
We always
crazy.
do this. It's
That's
fine.
unbelievable.
Thank you, ma'am.
He's being
All right, give me
very
just a second,
cordial.
Miss Alston.
Okay.
Why don't you come up here and learn how to do this?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, sir. Better yet, why don't you go tell her and don't come back? Okay.
You're formally trespassed from this area right here, so if you come back and we catch you out here, you go to jail for criminal trespass third. No, ma'am.
He doesn't even know whose property is right there.
City
The owner of the
property.
property.
No,
Yes, ma'am.
which makes it public property.
Yeah, and the city does not want anybody feeding the animals around here because they're becoming a nuisance.
I'm trying to help that nuisance by catching them. I mean,
Okay.
they should be
What's
thanking
going
me.
on?
I've
I'm
got
so
a trap set
confused.
right there trying to help catch them and get them out of here.
Okay.
I'm so confused what's going on.
I know that, and Terrence knows that I try to help him catch them.
Okay.
We're telling you no.
The trespass stands. Just don't be around here
Yeah,
trapping
she's
them
on
anymore.
public property anyway.
Okay? All right, you have a good one.
Doesn't matter.
The officer informs Ms. Alston that she has been formally trespassed from the county property and that she will go to
Yeah.
jail if she comes back. Under Section
Where did that come
13A-7-4 of the Alabama Code, quote, a person is guilty of criminal trespass in the 3rd degree when he knowingly enters or remains unlawfully in or upon premises. According to Section 13A-7-1 of the Alabama Code, the term premises refers to, quote, any building and any real property. The statute also explains that, quote, a person enters or remains unlawfully in or upon premises when he is not licensed, invited, or privileged to do so, and that, quote, a person who, regardless of his intent, enters or remains in or upon premises which are at the time open to the public, does so with license and privilege, unless he defies a lawful order not to enter or remain personally communicated to him by the owner of such premises or other authorized person. Additionally, the statute states that, quote, a person who enters or remains upon unimproved and apparently unused land, which is neither fenced nor otherwise enclosed in a manner designed to exclude intruders, does so with license and privileges unless notice against trespass is personally communicated to him by the owner of such land or other authorized person, or unless such notice is given by posting in a conspicuous manner. The Alabama Supreme Court recognized in the 1965 case of Johnson versus State that the managerial office of a corporation
So it
or
must be
other
apparent.
designated
So that just means that, like, if you're walking through the woods or something and you're in private property and there is no posting out front, but the guy put one behind some trees that wasn't super apparent. If you weren't looking ahead of you, you wouldn't have seen it. So, it's just saying that doesn't, in and of itself, state or like statute a no trespass sign. It must be apparent.
Official with authority in
Interesting.
excess of that of only
Fun
an
facts.
employee has the authority to warn off a trespasser, and that such an individual can authorize a police officer to act as their agent and communicate a notice of trespass on their behalf.
But not legal
Assuming
advice,
that the
by the way.
request that Ms. Alston leave the property came from the mayor, and that he authorized the officers to trespass her, it is certainly possible that a court could conclude that the officers had the authority to ask her to leave the property, although more information about the mayor's managerial authority over the county-owned property would be necessary to make an accurate prediction. However, the question of whether Ms. Alston could be trespassed perpetually from public property raises additional constitutional concerns that we will discuss later in this episode.
What are we doing?
For 939.
Stopping to see if I was okay.
Well, man, we told you to leave this area.
I'm not in.
Well,
1028 returns to
you
Beverly
need to leave
Robert.
now. We're teetering on going to jail.
2006 Camry, gray in color. Current 29
Ma'am?
negative.
I'm teetering on going to jail for feeding cats.
Well, for trespassing, we told you to leave and you haven't left.
That's crazy.
I could take you to jail
That's
now. I'm not
just-
trying to do that. Ma'am, do you have your driver's license with you?
Yeah.
That's
I mean, we're
just.
trying to do a good
Thank you,
thing.
ma'am.
I don't
Not
understand.
39.
We're trying to help, but we're not. Yeah.
You want to handle her? I mean, she's still not leaving. If you want to take her to jail too.
Jesus!
All right, Ms. Roberts. Okay. Apparently, they've had an issue with you out here before with the cats.
Not here.
Feeding the cats out here, right?
Well, I feed them. We've been trying to trap them, and we get them neutered and then get them homes.
Okay.
So we're trying to do the city a favor.
Okay. Well, the city has asked you multiple times.
The city?
Yes, ma'am. Not to do this.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and they have trespassed you. Okay, and now you're trespassing.
I'm
Okay.
sitting in my car. I'm not.
Well,
I
well, you're
haven't
on
touched-
ma'am, you're on the property. You've got cat food. Okay, it's pretty. I mean, all in the back seat. It's pretty clear what your intent is. Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right. So, because you've been trespassed and you have returned yet again, we're gonna have to take you to jail. Okay.
Jesus Christ.
No.
No.
After the initial
What
encounter
the
with Ms. Alston, the
hell?
officers returned to the same area of public property, and upon finding 85-year-old retired veteran Beverly Roberts sitting in her vehicle on the property, inform her that she's being arrested for trespassing because she
That's
had
crazy.
previously been trespassed from the area by the city. Although the Supreme Court held in the 1966 case of Adderley versus Florida that, quote, the state, no less than a private owner of property, has power to preserve the property under its control for the use to which it is lawfully dedicated, the United States Constitution does not forbid a state to control the use of its own property for its own lawful, non-discriminatory purpose. Again, despite that,
But if she doesn't
trespassing
know,
someone from public property that is open to the
doesn't she
public for an
have to, like,
extended or indefinite
get
period of
the-
time triggers constitutional concerns under the
opportunity
Due
to
Process
leave the
Clause of the
premises?
14th Amendment. Under the three-part balancing test established by the Supreme Court in the 1976 case of Matthews versus Eldridge, in which the court stated that, quote, the fundamental requirement of due process is the opportunity to be heard at a meaningful time and in a meaningful manner. Courts must consider three different factors when determining whether the government provided an individual with sufficient procedural due process before depriving them of a right. Now quoting. First, the private interest that will be affected by the official action. Second, the risk of an erroneous deprivation of such interest through the procedures used, and the probable value, if any, of additional or substitute procedural safeguards. And finally, the government's interest, including the function involved and the fiscal and administrative burdens that the additional or substitute procedural requirement would entail. As a plurality of the Supreme Court explained in the 1999 case of Chicago versus Morales, quote, the freedom to loiter for innocent purposes is part of the liberty protected by the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. We have expressly identified this right to remove from one place to another according to inclination as an attribute of personal liberty protected by the Constitution. Indeed, it is apparent that an individual's decision to remain in a public place of his choice is as much a part of his liberty as the freedom of movement inside frontiers that is part of our heritage, relying in part on this.
So he's talking about like You're allowed to loiter wherever, but it's not illegal until you're asked to leave.
This decision. The 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, which has jurisdiction over Alabama, determined in the 2016 case of Catron versus City of St. Petersburg that 4 homeless plaintiffs had been unconstitutionally trespassed from Florida city parks without receiving due process of law. The court noted that, quote, plaintiffs have a constitutionally protected liberty interest to be in parks or on other city lands of their choosing that are open to the public generally, and that, while, quote, a person may forfeit this liberty right by trespass or other violation of law, due process was needed before an individual could be deprived of this liberty interest. Because the ordinance granted, quote, a lot of discretion to many different city agents to issue trespass warnings for a wide range of acts, the court reasoned that, quote, given that these warnings operate like some kind of injunction, this situation creates a substantial risk of erroneous deprivation of liberty. In concluding that the plaintiffs received insufficient due process before receiving trespassing warnings for public property, the 11th Circuit recognized that, quote, the ease with which trespass warnings may be issued is particularly problematic here, because the trespass ordinance provides no procedural means for a warning recipient to challenge the warning. Even if it is impractical for the city to provide a pre-warning hearing to assure that there are reasonable grounds to support the trespass warning, the city must provide some post-deprivation procedure to satisfy the requirements of the due process clause. Here, although we do not know all the details of Ms. Roberts' initial trespass warning, it appears that neither Ms. Alston nor Ms. Roberts were provided with any opportunity to be heard or challenge her trespass from the county property near the courthouse.
Absolutely.
And a court applying the 11th Circuit's reasoning in the Catron case would likely conclude that this violated their right to due process of law under the 14th Amendment.
You can go too.
I'm just.
No.
So I'm not allowed to talk?
No, that doesn't involve you. You've been told at least 25 minutes ago that you were trespassed from here.
I will call a lawyer, all right?
Yes, ma'am. That's fine. You can call a lawyer as soon as you get to the jail. Okay.
As soon as I
Go ahead and
get
get
to
in your
jail.
car.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead and get in your car. Go ahead and get in your car.
Ma'am, go to your car before you get arrested.
I guess you wanted to.
No, I just wanted to say something.
Okay, get in your
and
car.
you
Go
won't
ahead and
let
get in
me.
your car.
Get in your car. All right, Miss Roberts. I'm gonna have to get you to step out. Okay.
It's just incredible.
I'd be trespassing if I did.
Well, ma'am, you're already trespassing.
You all are unbelievable. This
I
is what
agree.
you're wasting city gas on.
Here, step up here for me.
She tries to
Now,
stand
wait.
up
I'm
to
not
the
gonna
police
listen to
and say that they're good people.
Hold on. Where are you going?
And then
I'm
this
going to give
happens.
her my car keys so she can get my car to my
Here,
house.
give it to that officer right there. He'll
I
hand
do
them to her.
want to say one thing
Hey.
to you.
It's gonna get ugly if you don't stop.
Jesus
Can I
Christ!
please say one
Okay. Now you just got another charge.
Can I say one
Congratulations.
thing?
Get out. I'm tired. Get out.
I-
Get out.
Help him.
This is incredible.
Ma'am, go ahead and step in. Come on.
Close my car door,
Ma'am,
please.
we're gonna get all your stuff. Just step in for me.
Well, I can't without, I'm almost 85 years old.
Yes, ma'am. And I had every intention of putting those handcuffs in the front for you until you started acting like that.
Oh,
She literally can't get in the car. This breaks my heart. Oh my god. I hope they get fired. They're not going to. They're not going to get fired, but jeez. Oh my god. This is incredibly, this is terrible. Oh my, how do you put someone through that? In good conscience, God, shame on you. Person to person, aside being a dirty cop, it makes too much sense.
I'm sorry I can't get in.
After the officers tell
She
Ms. Roberts that
physically
she's
cannot
going
get
to
in.
jail, Ms. Alston attempts to speak in her defense, and the officers order her to return to her vehicle. Later, the body camera footage shows another officer taking Ms. Alston to a police vehicle in handcuffs while Ms. Roberts was also being arrested, and it was later reported that Ms. Alston was charged with interfering with government operations in addition to trespassing. Under Section 13A-10-2 of the Alabama Code, quote, a person commits the crime of obstructing governmental operations if, by means of intimidation, physical force or interference, or by any other independently unlawful act, he intentionally intentionally obstructs, impairs, or hinders the administration of law or other governmental function, or intentionally prevents a public servant from performing a governmental function. Based on the requirement that an individual use physical force or engage in a so-called independently unlawful act, it does not seem likely that Ms. Alston could be convicted of this offense, at least based on the body camera footage available, for simply expressing her disagreement with the officer's arrest of Ms. Roberts. Not only is it perfectly legal to speak in opposition to police actions, as the Supreme Court noted in the case of City of Houston versus Hill when it said, quote, "The First Amendment protects a significant amount of verbal criticism and challenge directed at police officers," but also in that case, the court also explained that, quote, "Speech is often provocative and challenging, but it is nevertheless protected against censorship or punishment, unless shown likely to produce a clear and present danger of a serious substantive evil that rises far above public inconvenience, annoyance, or unrest." Here, because the available body camera footage shows that Ms. Roberts did nothing to interfere with the police officers beyond attempting to speak her opinion, which the officers quickly censored by ordering her to return to the car, it seems probable that a rational court would conclude that Ms. Alston could not be arrested for obstructing governmental operations. Both women were arrested and charged with criminal trespassing. Ms. Alston was also charged with interfering with government operations, and Ms. Roberts was charged with disorderly conduct. In December of 2022, Municipal Judge Jeff Courtney, who participated in a group prayer session with Prosecutor Brett Ekdahl and other city officials before the trial started, found the women guilty of all 4 charges.
Are you what? I can't believe this. What has our world come to? I understand the way that they were handling the situation might not have been ideal. I understand that they're trying to help, but that doesn't mean that the way that they were going about it was the right way. I don't know. I am not an animal specialist in any way. I hope that the government would consult animal specialists in that regard and find the best way to reduce the cat issue. I understand when you're feeding the animals, it's hard to make a good case in the opposition's point of to the opposition's point of view. But this was not the way to go about it. And to treat these ladies just so rudely. Oh my god. Have some
charges
reason.
And sentenced them to 2 years
Gosh, I hope
unsupervised
they
probation,
escalate.
a suspended sentence of 10 days in jail, and $50 fines plus court costs for each charge. It should
They
also
made
be
an
noted that under Section
85-year-old lady
30-3
spend
of the
10
Wetumpka
days in
Code of
jail?
Ordinances, Judge Courtney was appointed by the city council and must be reappointed every 2 years. Ms. Roberts and Ms. Alston's attorneys both indicated that they have filed a formal appeal requesting a jury trial and intend to file a lawsuit against the city. Overall,
Absolutely.
Ms. Alston and Ms. Roberts get an A for standing up to the city's authoritarian and likely unconstitutional actions, taking appropriate legal action by appealing their convictions and preparing to file a lawsuit, and making a genuine effort to assist with the feral cat problem facing the city of Wetumpka. While it is possible that they may have been trespassing, the constitutionality of such a charge is highly questionable. And, according to Ms. Roberts' attorney, the prior trespass warning she received was for the dumpster area near the courthouse, not the open field where she was arrested, which was between 50 and 100 yards away. Likewise, although a city official claimed that cat food had caused problems, such as attracting buzzards and more stray cats to the area, this was disputed by multiple defense witnesses at the trial. And, moreover, Ms. Alston and Ms. Roberts were attempting to lure the cats with food to trap them, neuter them, and return them to their original location. They were not simply leaving food out for them to eat. Trap, neuter, release programs like this are widely recognized as an effective and humane way to manage feral animal populations. And although I'm in no way an expert in this area, I commend Ms. Alston and Ms. Roberts for their compassion and their
These are
commitment to
good
helping
people.
animals and the city. The Wetumpka
So it
Police
sounds like
Department
there is
gets
an appropriate
F
way
for
to go about it.
wasting city resources by
Oh
sending
my
3 squad
God.
cars to arrest 2 senior citizens attempting to help animals on public property, using handcuffs and unnecessary physical force to punish Ms. Roberts for expressing her frustration with the situation, and manufacturing trumped-up charges against the women in retaliation for voicing their opinions. However, it would be unfair to only assign a grade to the police officers involved, as many of the issues with this interaction stemmed from the city officials involved, who also get an F for their failure to behave responsibly, treat Ms. Alston and Ms. Roberts with the respect they deserve, and take steps to deal with the feral cat problem themselves.
Gosh, that makes
Likewise,
me wanna,
Prosecutor
like,
Ekdahl and Judge
fight
Courtney
someone.
also get Fs for prosecuting
Angry.
and convicting Ms. Roberts and Ms. Alston on
How are their
unfounded
trials?
charges of disorderly conduct and obstruction, and, even if the trespassing charges were supported, failing to exercise their discretion to achieve a more reasonable outcome for the case. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out my second channel for even more police interaction content.
Alright guys, that's wild. I can't even begin to wrap my brain around just how heartbreaking that is. That is why we need better policing, better government. How much money do you think you paid him to get him, like, not get in trouble? Like, are you kidding me? To not ream this guy out? What kind of morals does that judge have? What kind of the even worse part, what kind of morals does the rest of that community have to appoint someone like him? Like, cause they've got to agree with his beliefs and opinions. And he's had to have shown some sort of messed up nature to do something that bad. That, even just to let the ladies off, you don't even have to get the cop in trouble. Just let the ladies off, tell them to go home. Act like you're mad at the guy and go grab a beer with him later. I don't care. But to sentence them to 10 days in jail, get them in trouble, give them fees, give them a harder battle to fight through the legal system, that's heartbreaking. And I hope the best for them. Alright, this was Cops Arrest Grandma for Feeding Cats. Audit the Audit. YouTube.com/Audit the Audit. Go check that out. And like, comment, and subscribe. See you later.